My name is Dylan Baines and I'm coming at you live on behalf of Footbin to deliver you guys one of the most popular formations in the pro scene of EAFC 24, the 4-4-2. Now this custom tactics breakdown will be broken into 3 complete segments. It's the custom tactics themselves, it's the player instructions, and it's the build-up strategy for this 4-4-2 formation. Now in terms of defensive style, this should be left on balance, and it's simply because you will learn off this channel and the tutorials that Footbin will provide you how to defend manually and not to rely on the AI defending mechanics of pressure after possession loss, pressure after heavy touch, or constant pressure. Why those particular tactics are an issue are simply because if you rely on the AI to do the pressing for you, a lot of the time they will run out of their position, leaving gaps, holes and spaces for your opponent to exploit, rather than having control over your players when you are defending. Now in terms of width, this will be left on 50 simply because it's already wide enough, and you will find that the left mid and right mid as well as your wing backs will be wide enough to build up on the width area, which I will be breaking down in the final segment. The depth. This is a controversy at the moment in the community simply because a lot of players don't know whether to set their depth to 44, which doesn't activate the constant pressure mechanic, but they also don't know whether they should be putting their depth to 71, which will activate the constant pressure mechanic and basically force their players to then press the opponent higher up the pitch. What I will say to this is, if you're an advanced defender that understands right stick switching and has the ability to switch between their defenders quite comfortably, 71 depth is for you simply because we can use that overpowered pressing mechanic that EA still have added into the game to our advantage. But if you don't know how to defend comfortably with the right stick and you're still learning, I highly recommend having your depth set to 41, and this is simply so that you can keep the shape of your defense and control your defenders, and you keep that solid line, that solid defense when your opponent is attempting to break you down. Now, when it comes to build-up play, this is going to want to be set to balanced simply because you're going to want to dictate the tempo of your build-up when going forward. If you have it on fast build-up or slow build-up, what happens is your players will position themselves in a way that will help you tailor that build-up to fast or slow. But it is always good to be versatile in your attack and not be set to one attacking strategy. So balance allows us to essentially do both. Be slow on the build-up, but then also be quick and interchange between the two so that we are more unpredictable in the attack. Then when it comes to chance creation, this is going to want to be set onto forward runs, and that's simply because, as I will break down for you in the build-up strategy, your wingbacks will play a key role in the build-up, and you're gonna want to have them overlapping. And forward runs helps your players play like they are running in through the holes, running through the gaps, and overlapping past defenders. And forward runs allows us to do that. Because what forward runs does is it basically triggers your attackers to run through channels, run through holes, and run through gaps, which essentially allows you to build up with the strategy that I'm going to break down in the final segment. We then have width on 50. Again, it's wide enough. The formation will be compact enough once you have your CMs on stay back while attacking, which will be the instructions, which I will get into in the next segment. We then have players in the box on 6, which is rather standard. You don't want any more or less. And corners and free kicks are on 3. This will ensure you have enough players forward whilst also not being left vulnerable to the counter attack when trying to transition from attack into defense. Now, when it comes to the instructions, the players that will remain on the default instructions are your left mid, your right mid, and your 2 centre backs. The rest are gonna have tailored player instructions for this formation and the build-up strategy. When it comes to your 2 strikers, you're gonna wanna have alternate player instructions for their attacking runs. One is going to want to be left on getting behind, which will be your quicker striker, and the other is going to want to be left on balanced. What this does is it allows you to be versatile in the attack. Let's say the striker on balanced is on the right side. You can then play a more direct style of attack down the right side and hit his feet more often to then hold up the ball and drag defenders out of their position to create spaces and gaps for your attackers to run into. Vice versa, on the left side, you're not going to be playing as direct. You're going to be putting through balls a lot more and taking advantage of the runs that your left striker, who will be the quickest striker, will be making along that defensive line. When it comes to your 2 CMs, you're going to want to have these set to cover center and stay back while attacking. This is so when you are transitioning from attack to defense, you will not be caught on the counter and your CMs will be there to help break up the attack. Specifically with your wingbacks bombing forward on balanced, which I will get into very shortly, you're going to want to have a few more defenders back and your midfielders will be there to help break up the play and at least give your wingbacks time to transition from attack to defense. And of course, they need to be left on cover center. That's so they don't drift out wide when attempting to obviously defend. Last but not least, we do have the wingbacks and these are going to want to be left on balanced. This is so they're going to be making those attacking runs forward when you are attempting to build up out on the wing, which I'll get into very shortly. When left unbalanced, your wingbacks will make more attacking runs past your right mid and left mid, which will allow you to build up in the width areas. Last but not least, we have the build up strategy. Now with this formation, it naturally is a wide formation, which means we need to abuse the width a lot more compared to the center of the pitch. And you'll notice this, if you try and attack through the center with a formation designed for wing play, it'll be nearly impossible to break down your opponent. The build-up strategy entails you guys selecting one side and building up out that side so that when you get down towards the opponent's goal, you're able to recycle back into the middle and exploit the gaps and spaces that have been left open. If you attack through the center, you will find it increasingly hard to break down the opponent. There'll be no gaps or spaces to exploit. But if you build up out on the width, you will notice the opponent's defense will drag out there, which will allow you to come back through the 18-yard box or go through the line to find those extra passes and exploit the gaps and spaces. So there you have it. That is the build up for the 4-4-2, as well as the custom tactics and player instructions. It's a very, very popular formation right now, and even your pros light version game are using this formation in the pro scene currently. So it's viable. It's definitely one of the meta formations to use this year in EAFC, and you guys should implement it into your custom tactics lineup.